Hi, I'm Marja from Sew Local Stitch Lounge. Today I'm going to show you how to make this little wallet, and it's made entirely from Cork fabric. To make the wallet, you're going to need one piece of cork for your inner and outer pieces, one piece of contrast cork for the card slots. You'll also need a magnetic snap and thread. They also have the instructions in a pattern piece, scissors, rotary cutter, and a ruler. And I also have wonder clips. I'm not going to be using pins because pins will leave holes in the cork that will show. So you really want to have either wonder clips or something else that's going to keep those together. So the first thing we're going to do is cut out the pattern piece, and we're going to use this to cut the main wallet. The inside, we're going to need one inner one and one exterior one. So we can do this a couple of different ways. You can trace around the whole thing and then cut it out with scissors, or you can use your ruler and rotary cutter to cut out most of it. This pattern piece is pretty much exactly the same width as this ruler. Handy. And that's what I'm gonna do. So we have two pieces. One will be the inner wallet, one will be the outer wallet. Doesn't matter which one's which, but I'm gonna mark these two dots, one on each. I have a pin, so I'm just gonna poke a hole right on the dot. So because I marked, this is marked B, so this piece is now the inner wallet. So now you're going to take your inner wallet piece, the one with the dot on the curved section, and we're going to draw a line on the good side, 1 inch from the bottom edge. And it doesn't matter if you call this the bottom or that the bottom. Whatever you draw on is going to become the bottom. And I'm using the mat to measure 1 inch up from there. The line doesn't need to be all the way across. It just needs to be around the length of your card slot, starting from the straight line over here. The line's kind of hard to see, but I'm gonna place one card slot right side up, right on that line. And I'm gonna put one clip or a couple clips on the side to hold it. And we're gonna sew across this bottom edge, about 1/8 from the edge. I will backstitch at the beginning and the end. So I'm bringing my stitch length up to 3. And the other thing is that I have a universal needle in mine, which I find works really well. With Cork, they usually recommend a sharp needle that's on the small side. So a size 11, 14 at the most, I would say. Size 9 or 11 would probably be good. So you can see I've got that first one stitched down, and you can see that the card slot got pushed by the presser foot so that it almost was stretching it out or pushing it a little bit faster than the lower edge was going. So I have a tiny little bit extra right here. It's not too big of a deal. I'm just going to trim it off, but something that would help avoid that is using a walking foot with the cork if you have one. So now I'm going to put the next card slot on top, overlapping that first line of stitching. And I want this to be set up so that we have about the same amount of a wallet showing on the bottom as the top. I'm gonna stick that there. Yeah. So now we're gonna sew down the side, across the bottom, and up the other side. Now I'm going to mark a line. Now we're going to stitch on this line to divide the pockets into 4. So now we have 4 card slots. So that means that your wallet will be able to hold not just one Sew Local gift card, but 4 Sew Local gift cards, which is a good number of Sew Local gift cards to have. Look at that. Now we're going to do a stitch along the top edge of both the inner and the outer wallets. And this is just decorative. It's just so that it looks uniform all the way around the whole thing. And we're going to figure out what is the top edge of the outer by putting them together like this. So we know this is the top edge right here. So this is going to be the top edge of the outer one. So I'm just going to put a clip on that to remind me, and clip on that. So we're going to sew from the straight corner across the top edge, 1/8 of an inch from that edge, until we get to the card slots. We'll be up to that spot, and then we're going to stop. And we'll do the same size here, so 8 inches. And when you're doing top stitching like this, it always looks nicer if you're sewing on the good side. So we'll sew with the cork up for both. Now we're going to install the snap. So you've got 4 pieces. You've got the innie and the outie, as I like to call them, and then 2 washers. And we're going to use the washers to mark the lines. So I'll put the circle, that center mark, right over the dot. And now we're going to cut those 2 slits right there. I just use scissors. Just the tip of the scissors, that's going to cut right to the edge, just needs to be a tiny little bit. So this is the outer wallet piece, and I'm going to use the innie snap part, which is the thicker one, so that I can have the thinner one on the flap piece. So you just put that snap through, put the washer on the back, and then you open those legs up like a duotang. Now we're ready to put the 2 pieces together, and remember where you stitched across that top edge, so we'll put those 2 top edges together with the wrong sides touching. And I'm gonna have the outer wallet facing up, and I'm gonna put a bunch of clips to hold this together. So we're gonna start sewing down the short side, then across the bottom and around the curve of the flap until we get back to that top stitching right here. And we'll back stitch again right here. So while we're doing that, we're gonna do something a little odd. We're gonna try to push that top layer a little bit that way, or stretch out that bottom layer so that by the time you get around to this curve, it's going to look something like that. You're going to have a little extra on that lower edge. And the reason why we want that is so that when the wallet folds up, that inner layer has a little bit more room to curve, because the outer side actually has to be a little bit bigger. It's just going to help it lie flatter. I like to pick up the cork a little bit and it's almost like I'm pushing it because sometimes it gets a little bit stuck on the bottom. Once you get to a snap, especially on the other snap that's touching down, because it's magnetic, it's gonna kind of stick to your sewing machine. So be aware of that. You'll have to kind of push it a bit. Now going around the curve, we're gonna be looking at the smaller piece as our edge because this is gonna get cut off, that extra piece sticking out. And now my snap is sticking to the sewing machine. So now we can trim off that extra little bit. And you can see when you look at it like that, that the outer piece is a little bit bigger than the inner. When I fold it, it fits really well and it's gonna stretch out a little bit and get even better. So cute. So I'm just gonna do one more row of stitching up here, right on where this fold is gonna be. You could even do 2 separated rows of stitching. So give it a little pinch so you know where that fold's gonna be. Because we're gonna be sewing on the outside for this. Your magnetic snap is gonna try to slow you down, so be aware. You want to be in the movies now.
Parker wants to usually come to the movies.
Parker wants to be in the movies. Hi, Parker. Parker, he got over his shyness and now he's going to be in the movies.
Yeah, he's usually the scariest and shyest thing.
That no one will ever see. Except for
He's
right
always
now.
hiding. I want to catch the famous Parker flop on camera. He's not doing it. Flop? If you stop paying him. See? He's like,
There's
rubbing
our
on my belly.
There's your tongue.
So soft. You're sweet.
More?
Or shy boy. But he loves the belly rub.